You know, it's really not that often that I praise EA. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure I've never praised EA. I mean, they are the kings of cut content, copy and paste, and microtransactions after all. But for this video, I'll play devil's advocate here and say that although I can't agree with a lot of their corporate practices, they do show signs of inspiration from time to time and actually deliver a good game. At least every once in a while, that is. Well, maybe that's not exactly 100% accurate, considering that most of the games they release, the ones that aren't just craptastic money grabs, that is, are made by studios that just so happen to be owned by EA. But, for all intents and purposes, mostly ran as a separate entity, with minimal oversight by the evil head of the giant that we call EA. Today, we're here to talk about 3 of those aforementioned games: Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2, and of course, Respawn's spiritual successor to Titanfall, Apex Legends. Now, before I go any further, I want it to be known that we could, Lord willing, see a Titanfall 3 someday. But unfortunately, due to the success of Apex Legends, I really don't see them returning to the Titanfall series anytime soon. So, how did we get here? How did we go from a wall-running, mech-piloting, space-colonizing civil war to an elimination-style, squad-based, adrenaline-fueled fight to the death? Well, the answer might actually surprise you, and it certainly did surprise me. But before we get into that story, I just want to give you guys a little perspective on my history with this series. When I heard about this game for the first time at my local GameStop, I had absolutely no interest in this game at all. I've never been into mech fighting games or the Call of Duty series. So when the guy, the GameStop I was at, started talking to me about a deathmatch style game where you can pilot mechs, I honestly thought it sounded stupid. I didn't understand what the big deal was. I seriously thought this game was going to be crap and just went about my day. Well, needless to say, I did eventually give the game a chance. Mostly because the Xbox One at the time didn't have many worthwhile games to play. And I have to admit, I was very, very happy that I did. I mean, holy crap, I had so much fun with the game. The wall running made me feel like some kind of futuristic ninja or something. It felt so good to call on a Titan and just rain death upon the enemy team, especially that one effing guy who was in every match somehow, who was able to shoot you halfway across the map in the head, kill you with 1 or 2 shots with a freaking pistol. By the way, if you're listening to this, I fucking hate you. Nothing was more satisfying than finding that guy and just stepping on him with my Titan. Don't lie, you guys have done it too. I mean, I'm sure we've all done that, right? Well, this game, Titanfall, it made me feel like a complete badass. You would think that a game involving pilots, fighting mechs side by side would be a little unbalanced. But somehow, Respawn made it work. I was always that one guy who would have no fear, jump on top of a Titan, rip open the hatch, throw a grenade until it ejects us both, and in midair bust out a smart pistol, shoot the pilot, land on another Titan, do it all over again. I remember one match in particular, I actually took down 8 Titans, just without a Titan, just straight jumping on them, beating their ass. It was fucking awesome, man. In fact, I remember afterwards, there was one guy in particular who I kept seeing his name pop up. It's not like I was trying to kill that guy specifically. I just somehow managed to kill that guy a lot of times in that match. And he sends me a message on Xbox Live. I'll never forget it. The message just said, "You are OP as fuck." It was awesome, man. I just laughed. I just said, "Hey, thanks." Just kept doing what I was doing. I was hooked. And it only got better once we hit Titanfall 2. But before that, let me just say, so let's go back to Titanfall, the original, for a minute here. This game was a sleeper hit. It got 87 Game Awards the year of its release. It was a massive hit. I remember when the game first came out, people were playing it left and right. They were loving it. But over time, it kind of slowed down and kind of turned into kind of more of a niche than anything else. I mean, there was no single player campaign. It was pretty much only a multiplayer game. But I was cool with that because the fun of that game was the multiplayer. It was one of the best multiplayer experience I've ever had to this day. So yeah, it was going strong. It did a lot of money. The numbers were great. Respawn was living high. And so now we get to Titanfall 2. A giant mech energy sword. I mean, damn. Do I really need to say anything else? With all that being said, right? The hype for Titanfall 3, it was massive. But something happened in Titanfall 2 that a lot of people weren't really expecting. It kind of was a bomb. I mean, yeah, it still did good numbers. And a lot of people were still playing it. I remember when I was playing that game, there was like 19,000 people in the lobby. And for some reason, though, it just didn't sell nearly as good as Respawn was hoping. And I kind of felt bad for them. Because Titanfall 2 was, by and large, miles ahead of the original Titanfall. So, Respawn, they finally announced their next project. And everyone's thinking, okay, this is going to be a new Titanfall game. But instead of Titanfall, we got a Battle Royale style game that took place in the Titanfall universe. With no Titans and no wall running. I was rather confused and very angry, to say the least. Once again, I had no interest in playing it. And to be honest, I really thought it had something to do with EA. Because in between the time from Titanfall 2 and Apex Legends, Respawn was acquired by EA. And I honestly thought EA forced them to make this game. I really thought that it was just a shameless cash grab. So when I found out that actually wasn't the case, I was rather shocked. Yeah, guys, it wasn't EA's decision to make this game. Respawn, they wanted to make this game. Why would Respawn do this? Why would they take this game that had so much potential and just say, fuck it, let's make a battle royale game? Well, the answer, my friends, is actually quite simple. The answer is because it's fucking kick ass. Respawn looked at Fortnite and Overwatch and just said, lol, hold my beer, bruh. I have to say, I've never, ever been happier to be wrong. Yeah, I was very, very wrong. I didn't even play Apex Legends until Season 5. That's how much of a Titanfall loyalist I was. I was so upset that they got rid of Titans and wall running that I didn't play the game until Season fucking 5. And I should have had more faith in Respawn, because as soon as the first match started up and I was jumping off that airship, flying my way to the starting area of my choice, I instantly could tell that Apex Legends was going to be epic. And that's what it was. It is simply epic. Sure, you can die in the first 5 seconds, but that's just the nature of Battle Royale games. I feel it deters a lot from first time players because they get frustrated. They land and they're killed in the first 5 seconds, thanks to nothing but RNG. But the feeling you get when you win and become champion after outlasting 22 teams, it's like adrenaline being injected straight into your veins. So why did Respawn make this change though? Why did they decide to change the direction of this series in the first place? Well, let's get into that, guys. Like I said earlier, Titanfall 2 was a great game. But unfortunately, it really did not do anywhere near the numbers that they were hoping for. Now, like I said, don't take that the wrong way. It was a relatively successful game, but it wasn't like some huge blockbuster or anything. Well, after release of Titanfall 2, Respawn, they really weren't sure what they wanted to do next. The only thing they really knew is that they wanted to make another game in the Titanfall universe. So faced with this dilemma, what they actually did was they took a staff of 115 developers and split them up into groups to make different prototype games. Like a whole multitude of different prototype games. Each one taking place somewhat in the Titanfall universe. One of these prototypes was actually heavily influenced by the Battle Royale games that were all the rage at the time. Games like PlayerUnknown Battleground, Fortnite, all those games. But they wanted to do it with the gameplay mechanics of the Titanfall series. So, through testing of the game by the developers themselves, they eventually decided to expand the model of that prototype due to the fun factor of the game. They tried using Titans from the previous series for a short period of time, but quickly realized that having the Titans in a Battle Royale game was just not working and would have been more of a detriment to the game than anything else. Instead of doing that, they decided to expand upon the character classes in the game. They also tried to include the wall running at one point, but through testing they found that it was just too hard for people to figure out where the threats were coming from. So Respawn had never made a game like this. They've never made a battle royale open world type game. And it was rather ambitious for them to try to develop and make it. And what they did was they made it their motto to be chasing the fun factor. And it was always about fun with Respawn. They didn't make this game to appease the higher-ups at EA. They made this game because it was fun. Respawn literally had to convince EA to make this game. Yeah, EA, they actually didn't even want to make Apex Legends. Because they knew that it was just going to look like EA forced Respawn to make a Battle Royale game. And to be fair, I mean, they were right. Like I already said, I was seriously thinking that was what actually happened. And so even without doing any research, just the whole image of EA, knowing the crap they do, I just straight jumped to the conclusion that it must have been what happened. And I was wrong. And I, for one, I commend Respawn for taking this kind of a risk, for having the guts to follow through with it, even though they themselves knew that the fanbase would initially not be happy with the decision to veer away from the playstyle of Titanfall. But these guys seriously made a great decision. And they really did make an awesome game. I mean, the higher ups at EA, like, they were really fighting tooth and nail to get Respawn to not make this game. They just did not want to deal with the bad publicity. So what did Respawn do? They made one of the best decisions I've ever seen a gaming franchise make. They announced the game and released it just a few days later as a free-to-play game. It was a huge risk. But you know what? Ended up being the smart move. I mean, this right here, this should be used as a shining example of how to release a game, that is a spiritual successor to a beloved franchise. Blizzard, Diablo Immortal. So, this brings me to the point of the video, though. If you are a Titanfall fan, if you currently are making the same mistake that I made, you're not playing this game because you fucking hate EA, because you think Respawn was forced to make this game, because you think it's just a shameless cash grab. Well, I hope this clarifies things for you. Have some faith in Respawn. They wanted to make this. They wanted you to enjoy it. They wanted to make a fun game, and they succeeded. This game kicks ass. You will love it. You will be hooked right away, and it's definitely worth your time. Don't give up if you die in the first few seconds, because I'm telling you, once you finally win, it's going to be worth it. You really won't be sorry if you do. Well, that's all for today, guys. Originally, I was going to make a section of this video about the lore of Titanfall, because it is kind of hard to follow. You really have to pay attention. It's kind of obscure. But if you guys want to hear that, if you guys want me to make a lore video to explain exactly how Apex Legends is connected to Titanfall, I don't have a problem doing that. Just let me know in the comments below, and I'll definitely do that for you guys. But I just really wanted to get this out there because I needed people to know. If you're a Titanfall fan, don't let your opinion of EA destroy your opinion of this game. At least try it once. It is kick ass. It really is. So, like, subscribe, guys. I'd appreciate it. Take it easy. Late.